corruption is not a secular issue, it is to be fought on a civilizational line. A very profound message that the professor has given today. Because every time we talk about corruption, we deal as if it is, we try to rhyme it, Narada, Sarada scam, Jaya and Maya scam. No, we try to trivialize the whole thing into some sort of poetry, short poetry, and dismiss it that chalta hai. This type of things do happen. Understand, right from Chanakya's days, he says, when corruption happens in a government servant and when it does not, you cannot find out when the fish drinks water. Chanakya said that. So when professor was talking to me about these things, I was initiated to the issue of tax havens somewhere around 2005-2006. But as a chartered accountant, my understanding of black money began the day I signed for articleship. Because the first thing you have to know in a chartered accountancy is what is my white money, what is black money. First class, first day. So you cannot feign ignorance. In fact, there is a section in Income Tax Act, section 68, 69, 69A, 69B, 69C, 69D. You can understand Upanishad, you can understand Quran, you can understand Bible. But if you understand these 6 sections, unexplained expenditure will be deemed to be income. How can expenditure be income? That is the beauty of black money. If you understand this, and I'm sure a chartered accountant is here smiling, because he would have also confronted this at his age of 18, 19 when he was first initiated to income tax. Professor, you were wrong on one fact. There are not 71 tax havens, there are 72 tax havens. And 72 is a very secular number. So 72 tax havens as per our last count. There are various ranges also. There is also some caste hierarchy there. Some are very good tax havens, some are tax havens light, some are low category of tax havens. Some have got very good relationship. Go to every house, there will be one room where you have put every damn thing as a dump yard. Every cupboard will have one dump yard. Every country in the European Union has got one dump yard. They have created it basically to launder money. Ill-gotten wealth from outside was okay to be looted and plundered till say 19th or the 20th century, early part of 20th century. But as you became civilized, old habits die hard. You still wanted to loot and plunder, but in a more sophisticated manner. So you created some tax havens which were exclusively yours. I come from a land of Chinnavidus, you must understand. And every politician in my state has some stature only if he has a Chinnavidu. Likewise, every country has come of age, economically to speak, only if it has got an associated tax haven. Isle of Man will be there with somebody, French fellow will have somebody. But there is one king of all tax havens. If I ask you which is the king of all tax havens, most of you will say Dubai or Switzerland. Some of you will take some exotic place like Cook Island, not Crook Island, Cook Island. But the king of all tax havens is London. In London, that is why Malaya is sitting there. Safest place to loot and go and sit down, and you can, even Parikshit Maharaja could not have thought about something more safer, is London. And within London, there is a place of 1.22 square mile called the City of London. of the City of London is different from the City of London or the London City. It is along the Thames and 1.22 square miles of area where lot of multinationals will be there and they will be talking about corporate governance, issues in tax planning, tax transparency, and we will be listening and taking notes. The International Accounting Standards Body, IASB, which gives you international accounting standards, is headquartered there. And they come and tell the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India what is the international accounting standard to be followed. Our fellows will say, okay. The moment you say international, global, these 3-4 words are there, our Indians will quietly go out. Till that time they will be barking Alsatians, 56 inch, But once you say international, global, finished. Our people will become just pussycats. Professor was giving some extraordinary anecdotes about how 2,000 rupees per disposal of a body, and that body triggered in me is a bodyguard Munishwaran Kovil in Chennai. Somebody created a hype that all new cars have to be, you have to take there and do puja in bodyguard Munishwaran. That bodyguard will guard the car. I told the Pujari for the temple auction rate is around 50 lakhs. So everybody goes and puts puja there, and to do puja you have to take a ticket of 200 rupees plus extra. Till that time there won't be. Now this is, I don't know, it's only a rumor, so I don't have any authentic evidence. One of Professor's brilliant suggestion, which unfortunately has not been implemented, and had it been implemented prior to 8th November 2016, things would have been significantly different. The outcome of the demonetization could have been far, far better. And one was that no household should have more than 5 lakh rupees cash. And anything more than 5 lakh rupee cash should be termed to be illegal, prohibited, and shall be an offence punishable by law. Minimum 3 years. You can show the source. Yesterday I withdrew 10 crores from my own bank, from my own money, I paid tax and all. House, you should not keep more than 5 lakh rupee cash. If this is done, enormous changes will happen in the economy. And we also now realized the Gangotri of this 15 lakh rupee figure. So many people are there to kidnap you, Professor. So we never knew Ramdev Baba also did 15 lakh rupee asana. It's a new asana, 15 lakh rupee asana. Now coming to the book proper. There are some books which are written for contemporaneous times. Some books chronicle what has happened. Some books are clairvoyant. They are written usually by rishis. A rishi is a person whose life has no meaning or whose deeds will have no great meaning, but his words have profound meaning. And one such rishi was Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, who wrote Vande Mataram in 1870s. It was not even recognized even in elite Bengali circles in 1880s, and only in 1905 Vande Mataram became a very, very popular song during the partition of Bengal. And then they say rest is history. Then till 1947 it became the song of the nation. Till our secular forces decided that one which got us independence should not be sung anywhere. So Vande Mataram is now forgotten. But the point here is, Aurobindo Maharishi says Bankim Chandra Chatterjee was a rishi. I am no Aurobindo, but I will tell Professor is a rishi. What Professor says today about black money and tax havens, which he has been talking for almost 2 decades, and almost I see that this book is a revised version of the original version. This book is a revised. And hopefully this will be the last revised version. Because what he has said is that the loot and plunder by the Western nations, of developing nations, it's not only India-centric. If you see the type of people that are being encouraged to become dictators in Africa, in South America, and Pinochet is one classical example, where he looted and went to London, where the first time it was decided that London lower court decided that he will be extradited, and the case was actually filed by one Amnesty International, and in one of the Amnesty International London offices, one of the judge's wife was a stenographer. So they said there is a conflict of interest, and that went to a separate bench. The separate bench ruled against his extradition. Professor is right, no tax haven will ever extradite anybody because that is their danda. It is like a lawyer telling, suppose a criminal comes to my office and I ring up the police and say, here is a criminal, come and catch him. Will any criminal come to my office from tomorrow? Likewise, nobody, no tax haven worth his salt will ever do this one. So that brings us to one of the most undeclared activity of this country, which is Hawala. Section 3(1) of FEMA tries to define Hawala. Hawala in simple language is India cash kudu anga vainko. You try to say this in English. Very difficult, that too in legal language. Changes made to the balance sheet in one jurisdiction resulting in a concomitant equivalent, all these things. Judges don't understand those. But it is the most efficient bank. Saturday, Sunday, flood day, drought, nothing matters. And in some of the charge sheet of Enforcement Directorate I have seen, well-known Hawala dealer. I have heard of well-known Carnatic musician. Well-known Hawala dealer, he has done this. And he is roaming in New Delhi, he is roaming in South Carpet, in Majestic Circle, all these places you will find. And very cheap. And good rates also sometimes. Much better than what RBI offers. Today's closing rate is 83 rupees 48 paisa, will give you 83 rupees 84 paisa. Transaction. Efficient. 45 minutes your son in New York City will say, 100 paisa. These type of things are the part of a larger ecosystem. First is corruption. Then internal Hawala, external Hawala. Internal Hawala, no law prohibits. If you want to take 20 lakh rupees cash by car, train, flight from one part of the country to the other, there is no prohibition. People fear, but there is no prohibition. This happens rampantly. So, usually all these things are known to our RBI, SEBI, IB, RAW, only in the last scene. You know, the last scene, the police will come. For 15 reels, hero and villain are fighting all over the city. Commissioner of police will not know, despite the fact his daughter is in love with the hero. And he would have complained, all these things would have happened. See what type of intelligence our police has. And only in the last thing. So in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna defines himself, Supreme Atma. Weapons cannot cut me. Fire cannot burn me. Wind cannot dry me. Water cannot wet me. SEBI cannot find me. RBI cannot trace me. ID cannot notice me. Income tax doesn't know me. I am Hawala. I am the Supreme. Why this is happening? And why this much amount of consternation? There was a huge amount of activity politically, of which Professor alluded to. And at that time, one of the instruments which was creating the maximum damage was this participatory notes. Traced somewhere between 95 to 98. First time when Chidambaram became the finance minister to when Mr. Yashwant Sinha became the finance minister, these participatory notes were introduced. These were very funny. These were like IOU. These were whosoever held it, more or less. I am simplifying it for the sake of this audience. It is not so simple, but simple. And the issuer of these notes would not disclose the ultimate beneficiary of those particular participatory. And invariably they used to come from Mauritius. And why Mauritius? Because India-Mauritius had a double taxation agreement at that time, wherein any capital gain made by an investment arising from Mauritius into India would be taxed in Mauritius, not in India, and the Mauritius rate of tax was 0. So everybody strived to put their money through the Mauritius route into India. Luckily, we have changed this double tax agreement, but still we have not yet dealt sufficiently with the participatory note menace. That's my view. In fact, my book Sense and Sex Sentiments was on this particular subject of participatory notes, which I owe a lot of thanks to Professor for guiding me on that particular book. But today, there is yet another menace that is happening. That menace is in the form of cryptos. The type of dealings that are happening. In fact, I was stunned that if there is going to be a crypto capital of India, it is not Bangalore, it is not Hyderabad, it is not Chennai, it is not Bombay, it is not even Trivandrum, it will be Patna. People in Patna know much more about Bitcoin war than probably the most erudite software engineer in Infosys or TCS in Bangalore. That is the level to which it has penetrated. And that is the level to which it is being marketed. That is the level. It is like a multi-level marketing scheme, MLM scheme going on. As usual, regulators are unaware. And every time this happens, when somebody says, this has happened, that has happened, there is a loan app scheme fraud. Several loan app scheme fraud has happened in Hyderabad. Millions and millions of dollars have gone from this country. The app fellow is an Indian fellow. He says, sir, I don't know anything. I sold this Bitcoin. It came in, it went. Money has gone out. I do not know where it is. We do not know. It is in cyberspace. Go. Probably it is in a server farm in Netherlands. We do not know. Where do you go and locate? Where do you go and find out? Our response was to put GST on it. Sometimes we are so funny in dealing with these things that GST de do, kuch bhi kar do. This government, which assumed office in 2014, in the first cabinet meeting, ensured that the formation of a special investigation team. As Professor said, thanks to him, now today I learned that he is the author of this 1.5 million, 15 lakh rupees. All these things I did not know till now is Professor. So, government wanted to do something genuine. But you must understand, it is not a war to be fought with joint secretaries and under secretaries. You cannot hire big four accounting firms and say that, look, let us fight black money. Because these big four accounting firms themselves are headquartered in tax havens. Nobody knows who is their owner. They themselves are Swayambhus. You do not know where from they begin, where from they end. The Indian fellow, when he wants to say, he will give one pocket and say, I am the Indian partner. Then suddenly he will say, I am a global partner. How can he be a global partner? I don't understand. But he can. Chalta hai. And these guys have penetrated most of the government advisory services today. Niti Ayog's main job is to give tenders to these four fellows. And these four fellows advise this government on so many things. And sometimes very good suggestions. And sometimes appallingly bad suggestions. But whom to address these things? We do not know. But there comes the catch. 1.5 trillion which Professor alluded to, which is the estimated money of, today you have raised it, increased it to 3 trillion. So, $3 trillion is something equivalent to India's annual income in the year 1920, before COVID. Annual income of India is outside India. That is the amount of wealth that is outside India. How do we bring it? And in one page, Professor writes, and I opened this page. Very surprisingly, I just randomly read and just wanted to see. He talked about the Panama Papers. And he says there are 234 Indian passport details. I was intrigued by this number 234 because 234 MLAs are there in Tamil Nadu Assembly. I was thinking whether it is Professor Vaidyanathan or Dan Brown writing this book. Okay, because it has sounded very much Dan Brownish. Now, what is the issue about Panama Papers? Let us look into it. Right from Amitabh Bachchan to his daughter-in-law, everybody's name is there. If you are in Delhi, they will ask you, if you go to any club, sir, you are in Panama paper? Yes, I am there. Go in. I am not there. Get out. You are not eligible. Straight. You belong to some elite club only when you have names in the Panama paper. As he says, in Zurich airport, you can see all great Indian actors, sports persons, politicians, everybody there. Now the problem is, everybody knows whose name is there because Xerox copy has been put by that ICJ and Indian Express has carried out. As he says, 234 passports are there, names are there. What can you do about it? Nothing. Nothing. Because in a court, you have to get the original document. Xerox copies have no value in a court. This cannot be an admissible evidence. So what has to be done? Indian government has to write to the Panama government and say, can you give details of XYZ? How to write? First thing, you all must have, at least those of you who are elders would have known there was a scam called Beaufort scam. And VP Singh used to say, I have got the names in my pocket. I don't know why he didn't release it. But always he used to say, and we all at that time we were in school, we always thought he's going to release the day on which he's going to become the Prime Minister of this country. After signing the register, he's going to read from the name, from the list. At that time, there was no provision for Indian authorities to seek documents from outsiders. 166A and 166B of the CRPC was not there. It is called Beaufort's Amendment in legal parlance. Our people phoned up Swiss people and said, please give us this document. He said, you have to give letter rogatory. He said, what is this letter rogatory? You have to go through a court, get a direction and get it done through MLAT process. Multilateral Legal Assistance Treaty. First to go to the court, establish your bona fide, then write to the Home Ministry where in 2014 are happily roaming even today. There will be huge list. In fact, some of them have been exonerated by the lower court. They have all become Pope. They have all become high priests of honesty. It is important. That is why I was moved by Professor when he said this is a civilizational war. This is not a war of my government, your government, this government, that government. Governments come and go. We are not even a nation state, we are a civilization state. We are eternal. Only thing how prosperous we are and how much justice we are going to do to our younger generation is the question. India will remain, Bharat will remain. There is no much doubt. Sayers like Aurobindo and Bankim Chandra have foreseen this. Who am I to say that India will survive or India will not survive? But we owe a duty. The time for this duty is right now. We are just months away from 24 elections, general elections. Like the 14 elections, where each one of us converted ourselves into a mission mode, became missionaries. And we all brought this into the center stage, whether it was Ramdev Baba or whether it was Professor or whether it was Mr. Gurumurthy or whether it was Mr. Advani. At every stage, every single political leader, for his own bit, even I, for my own sense, wrote 2 articles here and there. We went and talked somewhere. We went and propagated. All these things have to be carried once again for 24 elections. We must demand accountability. We must ask people, why is the people, Mr. Chidambaram for instance, his modus operandi is always a Chidambara Rahasyam, never known. But there have been so much of allegations against him. Why we have not taken this to a logical conclusion? Why is it on CWG scam, people are still roaming outside? Why is that army Kolaba building scam? What is that? Adarsh society scam. 2G. Every time I pass by Delhi High Court, there is somebody mocking at me. Telling me, we do care 2 hoots for your law. And these are not ordinary scams. These are not small amounts. These are all done and rigged and system was fixed. Amounts were not in just 5 and tens of rupees. These were all done. These were all wholesale scam. Professor spoke about retail scam. I was speaking about wholesale Walmart scam. This is the amount that which was looted. And the scam happened in 2008. We are in 2023. A few days from now will be 24. People are happily roaming. What is the message we are giving? We are giving to another scam. And people like Professor and Venkatesh will lament, that's all will happen. And judiciary cannot catch you. So we need to put the pressure on the current administration. We must demand justice not for us. We don't want any justice at an individual level. We want justice at a civilizational level. We want justice at a national level. This is the wealth of the country. This is not the wealth of MR Venkatesh or Professor that has been taken. It is not a pickpocket in 12B bus. This is deracination of a civilization. Our belief is artha, dharma, kama, moksha. Artha is the basis on which you will find the edifice of dharma. And dharma is the route to moksha. And if artha is being destroyed, where is the question of civilization? Believe me, we are one of the most hardworking people. But we are also one of the most foolish set of people when it comes to these things. We are gullible. We do not understand the West's role, its shenanigans. Everything which comes from international has to be scrutinized, looked at with a different lens. And that is where I would say, Professor, you are like Vande Mataram. You have written this book ahead of your times. A time will come when the nation will salute you. Because what you have done is a signal service to all of us. I will thank Professor for giving me this opportunity. I will thank the organizers for inviting me. And I will thank the audience for staying so long and listening to both of us. Thank you very much.